Hi everyone, it's Shane here. I'm with the lovely Allie.
Oh,
It's
hi.
been a long time since we've done a video like this.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time we did one?
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
So long ago.
That's so
I'm
crazy. It
sorry.
actually feels longer than 3 years.
It does.
If you remember our last video, we did a little Q&A with Allie just to try and introduce her to the channel. And then we disappeared.
Yep.
We're back.
Mm.
A lot's happened.
So much.
So much has happened since then. So we just kind of wanted to bring you guys up to speed on where we've been, what our lives have been like for the last few years.
Yeah.
If you look at the title, a big thing happened that we're going to explain later in this video.
Yeah.
But just to start off the video, though, I think it'd be nice to kind of lead into where we left off.
Yeah. So at the end of the last video, oh my gosh, we were still long distance. Shane was in Canada and I was in the States still. And we knew we kind of needed to have a talk about our relationship.
Yeah. We'd been together at that point for several years, and it was kind of leading to that point where we're like, okay, like, what are we? No.
We knew what we were.
We knew we were.
We needed to figure out the next step.
Yeah. I always wanted to see how it'd be like living with you.
Mm.
Because like you said, we'd only been on these short vacations and, you know, even though we were together, it didn't feel like regular life. So I think that's when we really decided, okay, we have to really figure this out.
Both of our trajectories were in like separate directions and there wasn't a place where we could see that cross. So we came up with making like a trial period of 6 months, being like either I'll come and stay with you or you'll come to me and we'll see how that goes.
Right. I think logistically it just made more sense for you to come up to live with me because I already had a place for us to spend that trial period.
Yeah.
So at that point, you bought a ticket.
I did.
Got on a flight from Orlando all the way to Toronto where I was living. I picked you up from the airport and I welcomed you to our little condo.
Yeah, it was so nice. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but Shane was actually my first boyfriend, my first relationship ever. So up till then, I had been single my whole life, living with my family, going to school. And then here, suddenly, I'm moving to another country and moving in with this boy who I love. And I was so nervous, but so excited, but so nervous. It was hard to navigate for a bit, but it was really good. And I think we learned a lot.
Yeah. I was so excited for you to come up. Because, well, you know.
Oh my God, stop.
You know, the short trips were nice, but the goodbyes were always really hard for me.
Yeah.
So I was just so excited for you to be there in the morning when I woke up and everything. The trial period was exactly what I thought it would be. You know, ups and downs, but it was great. It was really nice having you with me in regular life. And for me anyway, it really solidified our relationship that we could really do this.
Yeah, it was all going great. And funny because we forgot to mention this, but like right as I got there, COVID came in, like the lockdowns and everything happened that everyone experienced. And the border between the US and Canada also shut down.
Yeah.
So I just got there and then like all travel was banned. It was a very crazy experience to know that like, wow, like you're here. This is a commitment, you know?
So we did the trial period. As an American, you're allowed to stay in the country for up to 6 months as a visitor. It kind of hit me after the 5-month point that I'm like, holy shit, she's going to have to leave if I don't do anything.
If we don't do anything.
I'll go into that. But so it was really crunch time. I had the realization I was nervous, but at the same time, I'd already planned everything out.
He's a Virgo, guys.
So before he even came, many things were already prepared in advance. The first one being I'd already purchased the ring. I'm sure some of you are like, dude, you already bought the ring before you even...
You're very confident.
Yeah, before you even saw how it was going to go. But I was that confident that it
Yeah.
was going to go well. I mean, we'd been talking every day for years. So the ring was already purchased. We talked about everything. So I remember we'd actually talked about like, oh, what kind of rings do you like?
Oh my That is true. Yeah.
So it wasn't very obvious at the time, but I picked out the perfect ring. It was sitting in the bottom shelf of the bathroom.
How did I not find it?
It might have been in mine. I can't remember exactly where, but it was in the bathroom in the bottom shelf.
Like, this is my side. This is your side. Don't go to my side.
And I remember another important thing for you was that I get the blessing of the most important people in your life. So I first called your grandma. She's a wonderful lady.
Yeah.
I think she really loves me and I really love her. So
She's obsessed with you.
Yeah.
Like, she loves you more than me. I told her like, oh, there's this guy and I love him. She was like, what the heck? Like, you know? And so I think she knew how serious I was because I've always been really particular about dating. But Shane was like it for me. And so yeah, when she got to know him and then, I told her everything. The natural progression of things, she was like, you need to go and move in with him and see if this is legit,
Right. Because I remember for a long time, you're like, of course I want to go, but I can't. Like, I have to be here for my grandmother. So her being the one to tell you that you should do this is what really pushed you to do it. So I was really nervous. Keep in mind, don't really call your grandma all that much by myself. I mean, now we do, but at this point, I definitely was not doing that. So I just messaged her like, I have something really important to ask you. Can I call you? Got on the phone. She's like, hey, Shane, what's going on? I'm like, oh, I just have something really important to ask you. I remember being very nervous, but she's so sweet to me and so loving and caring. So I nervously asked her for her blessing to marry you, and she was so, so nice. She immediately gave me her blessing, and I just felt so thankful. Then it was an even harder call right after that. I had to call your father.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I was naturally even more nervous.
It's my dad. So it's like a little scary.
It's a little more intimidating.
Yeah.
So I messaged him. Same thing. I have something really important to ask you. I never call him. So I think he kind of had an inkling of what it was about. He's like, hey, what's going on? And then I asked him, like, your daughter's so important to me. I just wanted to know if I could have your blessing to ask her to marry me. And there was this long silence. It felt really long. It was probably like 5 seconds, but it felt like a long time. He's like, Shane, I remember when I had to make this exact same call and I was just as nervous as you were. And, of course, I'll give you my blessing. And I was so relieved that he said yes. I knew how important it was to you, so I'm glad I did that. 5 months go by of our trial period, and I'm so confirmed in the fact that, you're the one I want to spend my life with. This is the girl I'm going to marry and I'm going to propose to. So I'm like, okay, you have 1 month left to do this. You got to get off your ass and do this. So I planned out this retreat because at this point I'm remembering the Q&A video where you go over your bucket list items and how much you wanted to go stargazing. You're like, I want to go stargazing in a desert. And I'm like, where the fuck are we going to find a desert in Canada? But I remember you wanted to stargaze.
Yeah, that was the more important part, not the desert.
Not the desert part. So I found this retreat where you could go stargazing in these, they call it glamping. And I just thought it was so perfect. I'm like, this is exactly what she asked for. So I booked it for the anniversary of the day that we first met each other in person. It just so happened that like 5 months into our trial period, it was around the time when
it was meant to be.
It was meant to be. So I booked it, a couple days before. I went to our bedroom and I'm like, we're going on a trip.
And I was like completely in shock because remember, like at this time, lockdown was in full swing. So like really those whole 5 months, we didn't have a lot of opportunities to like go out and do a trip or whatever because we were kind of stuck in the condo together. So when he suddenly came into the room and was like, we're going on a trip, pack for a couple of days, I was like, huh? I'm like, where are we going? And like I had all these questions. He's like, I can't say anything, but pack for a couple of days. And I was like, okay. And then literally the morning of, I had everything packed and I was so excited and I'm like, give me a hint. He's like, no hints. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, but we have our driver waiting downstairs. And I was like, our driver? What the heck? And then so we go down and I'm like looking at the driver and I'm like, do you know where we're going? And then Shane jumps in and he's like, don't say a thing. It's a surprise. And he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, can't say anything. And we drive for like multiple hours. And then we get to this really foresty area and I'm like, what could this be?
Yeah. So he drops us off, drives off. We're stranded there. And one of the workers comes out in a golf cart. He's like, let me take you to your dome. And you're like, what? Takes us to the dome. And what did you think?
Oh my gosh. I didn't even know what glamping was. I didn't know that was a thing. In my head, I'm like, oh my God, we're going camping. Like, because I always wanted to go camping with Shane. I'm a big, like, outdoorsy girl. And when I saw the dome, I just thought it was, like, the coolest thing ever. I had no idea at this point it was, like, stargazing related. I just thought we were, like, staying in this cute little yurt. And I remember walking in, and, like, the first thing you see is just this big skylight at the top of the dome. And there's a ladder in front of the door. And you climb up and then there's this big king mattress that's right under the skylight so that you can sleep and stargaze right there. And it was just like, I had no idea, by the way, that this had anything to do with the proposal. I was completely oblivious to any of that. I just thought it was like 2 days before my birthday. So Shane had kind of pitched it to me like, oh, it's your birthday trip. So that's kind of where my head was at. I wasn't even thinking about proposal.
So we got there, and I remember before I planned it, I knew it was in the middle of a forest. So I was wondering what we're going to do for dinner that night because we don't know where, we don't have a car, and there's nothing around there. So I found a guy in the area that was a private chef, and I had him come out
In our campsite.
in our campsite.
I didn't even know that was a thing that could happen. I just never experienced anything like this before.
Still one of my favorite meals we've ever had.
It is the best food I've ever had.
Yeah, so we did that. I'm like, okay, I have to do this like tonight. Like, this is the night. So I was getting more nervous. I'm like stalling. It's like 7 o'clock.
You're like, let's go up to
Let's
the
go up.
bed.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And I'm like, dude, you gotta like do this. Like, what are you doing? But I was just nervous. So I waited really long, and it's nighttime. It's in the dead of night. We're lying next to each other. And I'm like, I have something really important to say. I just need to say it, and please don't interrupt me.
Yeah, I remember when he said that, guys. It like everything clicked for me in that moment because Shane never says anything like that. He would never be like, I have something important to say. Just let me get through it. Like when he said that, my breath was like, I knew what was about to happen, or I was like, I was nervous. Like the butterflies started really kicking in and I just went dead silent.
So weeks before this moment, in my mind, I'm like, okay, how am I gonna, like, I need to prepare something. I'm a planner guy. I need to prepare. I can't just off the cuff this. I don't off the cuff anything. I have to plan
To a T.
to a T. I go through the drive-through. I plan what I'm gonna say. Like
You have your order on your phone.
So like weeks, I'm just reciting in my head. I'm gonna start when we met. You know how I knew you were the one I wanted to spend my life with.
Yeah.
All these things. I'm like, okay, I gotta go through this. But then once you get to the moment when you're doing it, everything just goes blank for me, and I just have to be in the moment and say how I felt. So I went through the course of our relationship, tried to tell you how important you were to me, and how I couldn't picture spending my life with anyone else. And then I got down on one knee and I asked you to marry me.
And it was instant tears. I was bawling, you guys. I was just so unbelievably happy and everything felt so surreal.
Yeah.
And of course I said yes. And I remember, oh my God, I was crying and I was super happy. And, you know, we had our moment. And I remember like very shortly after he proposed, it was pretty late at night. And I remember Shane, after it was all over, he just plopped down on the bed and just crashed, like just go totally out. And I remember thinking like, what the heck?
I was under a lot of stress.
No, I know. It was so funny because I was like, oh my God, like we're engaged. And then I was like, babe. And then he was just like gone, like just dead to the world. And I thought that was so funny. And so we just kind of like went to bed. And I remember when we woke up the next morning, it felt so magical because the whole skylight was covered in snow and it had snowed overnight and everything was white. And it's in April in Canada, but I really wasn't expecting snow. And it just felt so beautiful, like the first day of the rest of our lives.
That was a beautiful morning. Everything felt right because we were engaged.
Yeah.
To this day, I think it's one of my favorite memories ever in my life.
Me too.
And we're so glad to finally have shared it with you guys.
Yeah, that's the story.
That's the story.
We have to do another
Oh, we
part.
will. Yeah. Like at that point, we thought, we have our own condo. We have a dog. We're engaged. This is going to be great. And then...
You have to think about the legal aspect of it too. Because like I could only visit in Canada for 6 months. I've already been there for 5 months.
Yeah.
We just got engaged and there's a month left of us being able to legally stay together until I had to go back to the States.
Yeah.
So after we got engaged, there was a whole process that we had to do just to stay together.
Yeah.
So we'll stay tuned for part 2 where we go into all that fun stuff. But thanks guys for listening.
Thanks for listening if you stayed this long. Did you like it?
Yeah. I'm happy we're back.
Yeah. Leave a lot of comments about questions. Maybe we'll go into them at another point.
Yeah.
But until then, stay tuned and we'll see you next time. All right, bye.
Wait, you have to do the thing.
All right. Stay tuned and we'll see you next time. In 3, 2, 1. Bye.